This is the Gen Y Leaders Podcast. Welcome to the Gen Y Leaders Podcast, where we guide millennials to become the next generation of business leaders and entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Eric Huey, and multiple times a month, we bring you interviews from high-performing millennials who are challenging perceptions and changing expectations of our generation. Our mission is to help you overcome fear, take action, and go confidently in the direction of your dreams. It's time to start preparing now, mainly because 10,000 baby boomers are retiring every day, which will create a vacuum of career opportunities that you've been waiting for. Will you be ready? Chris, welcome to the Gen Y Leaders Podcast, man.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Hey, for sure. Really appreciate your time. If you could just give the folks a lowdown on who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. I'm Chris Meade. I'm the founder of CROSSNET, the world's first four-way volleyball game. So, we invented a volleyball net that intersects, and it's a rapidly growing sport now. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And so describe the game a little bit. Is it kind of like a hybrid of volleyball and foursquare? Where's the cross section come into play?
That's exactly it. So it's a foursquare volleyball combination, game to 11, win by 2. And essentially, the ball lands in your square, you're out. And if you serve the ball and you stay alive, you get a point. So that's how you play. And then we have a longer net, which is our new upsell. Cool. And it allows you to have teams. So that's really where the sport's growing really fast. It's a great co-ed sport, intramural sport, and like school sport, like during physical education time. Yeah, for sure. Where do you find, and to that point, where do you find, most of your customers are using that? Is that a beach or is it indoor court? In the summer in the beach, a lot of the beach users, but also like in their backyard. A lot of people just have a nice patch of grass in their backyard and want something fun to keep up. So that's where CrossNet's been. For sure. Tell us about that origin story. How'd this come to be? You like on the beach with your friends kicking around an idea or something? Or how this worked out? We were home one night and we were just kind of bullshitting, thinking of some fun ideas. Like we're all kind of miserable with our 9 to 5 and wrote down four-way volleyball, and we Googled it and we figured couldn't find anything on the internet. So we're like, why not us? Yeah. So that was the beginning of CrossNet. And then we rigged up some prototypes and went to Walmart, got 2 badminton nets, cut out the center, rigged them up, had our friends come over, and that was the beginning of CrossNet. That's awesome. What was your friends' response like? They loved it. We all had a great time. We made up rules on the spot. Just felt like we're little kids again. So that was the only proof of concept we ever had. Nice. And then how did this start catching fire after that? I mean, did you go to like a manufacturer or retailer? Like what was the next step? Yeah, we found a manufacturer online, and then essentially we bought like 100. We'd take them down to the beach. We'd set them up and we'd kind of just flip them on the spot and try to make some profit. And eventually they all just started we started getting a ton. Like people started buying them and then they'd bring them home and then they'd start playing in their town. And then boom, somebody from their town would order. Like it just kept going on and on. That's awesome. So when you're on the beach, you just like intentionally set up the net and start like bring your friends and start playing a game and then like bring people in who are walking by or what? Exactly. Yeah. People would just run up to us and be like, yo, can I play? What is this? And then we'd have like 35 people in line. That's amazing, man. Yeah. Very cool. So what keeps you going? I mean, you alluded to a little bit as far as being tired of your 9 to 5. What drives you? What's your why as an entrepreneur? I mean, right now it's just fun. It's like we're building a global sport. The Olympics would be great one day, of course, but like I think we're building one of the fastest growing backyard games on the planet. We're having a great time doing it. I'm still really young, like we're 28, 27 years old, like financial freedom, which is great, not having to go back to my 9 to 5, and being able to do whatever I want when I want is really the ultimate freedom. So, yeah. Says the guy who just was able to fly out and catch the opening game of NFL the other night. Exactly. And without having to pretend I had somebody die in the family. So, right. Yeah. Awesome. Exactly. Yeah. Following you on LinkedIn is really inspirational because I see you're all over the country and doing demos and doing a lot of fun stuff. So that's really cool. I appreciate it.
So just looking at your LinkedIn profile and talking before about some of your background, it looks like you've primarily been in kind of the marketing, biz dev, account management type space. And then so explain how that has been as far as transitioning from what was been primarily like service-based things and the digital ecosystem to actually creating a physical product.
Yeah, for CrossNet in particular, my film and photography background has helped us so much just getting off the ground. I used to take all the photos and do all the videos, not so much anymore.
Yeah.
And then in regards to the sales aspect, I feel like in my past jobs with like Uber and Contently, I had to like reach out to people like CEOs and CMOs of like Fortune 500s who should never be wasting their time with a 24-year-old, right? So I had to learn good strategies and learn good tips to like get somebody to read an email, respond back, get in a 30-minute demo. And those were all things that were really helpful in getting CrossNet into retail. Same strategies apply. How do I get a Walmart buyer to respond? How do I get a Dick's Sporting Goods buyer to respond? What's one person interested in? What's the other person interested in? So kind of leveraging all of that was really, really important.
Yeah. So same type of question, but I admire you because we have very similar backgrounds as far as like film, videography. I have a broadcast media background or education. And so I know there's a lot of negative, maybe stigma is the right word, around people who have the quote unquote soft skills and that they, don't understand the language of business and business operations and all that. So how would you encourage our listeners who maybe have a similar path as us, or maybe more on the creative side of the desk to pursue the big goals like you have?
I mean, you just got to go for it, right? Like I never took a single business class in college. I did not take a single one, nothing about business at all. I was watching movies and thinking about motifs and other stuff inside movies. So like, when you have a good idea, you just got to go for it, and you're going to stumble and you're going to learn regardless if I had a degree or not. Like there's so many mistakes and so many things that I just learned from doing.
Yeah.
And you just, that ultimately, like, I think the biggest thing I always talk about is like the fear of regret. Like there's nothing worse than like living your whole life being, damn, what if?
Yep.
What if? And nope, now I'm stuck on this 9 to 5 that I absolutely hate. And I can't wait for Saturday. And then Sunday, guess what? I can't even barely enjoy it because I got to go back to work Monday. So I'm sitting half of Sunday regretting the work week. So you just got to go for
the Sunday scaries, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. So I think if you're passionate about anything, like it doesn't screw the classes, like you just got to go for it. Sometimes it carries over, but the skills I learned in college for film and photography and graphic design, like those have helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than what if I knew how to take an Excel class. Like the other shit from photography helped me sell more units, so maybe pick it off.
Yeah, good perspective for sure.
Yeah.
So before we started this interview, we were talking about inspirational things to leave our audience with. The focusing question I always ask every guest is, what would you say to a room full of 100 other millennial entrepreneurs? And you mentioned the idea of bootstrapping and never giving up. So I'd like to focus on that bootstrap budget for a moment. So talk us through, your past experience over the last 4 or 5 years you've had your business in CrossNet. What's been a high point and what's been a low point in regards to budget?
Yeah. So yeah, we've bootstrapped the whole damn thing. It's definitely easier times and harder times. So the first thing we did was before we like made the company we kind of like stashed aside like a run rate for ourselves. So I had about 3 months of like money to live on just in case anything ever went wrong. And that's when we kind of went full-time into the business and like quit my job and went full-time into CrossNet.
Yeah.
But then we just reinvested every single dollar. We'd sell one net, we'd buy back two. It took us 18 months to start paying ourselves. We'd hustle on the side, work on Free Up and Upwork and do jobs just literally to pay the lights, like keep the lights on, pay the rent, have money for food. And it was back grinding on our job. And it sucked. It was 2 years straight of just grinding. And now it's like living my dream life, right? Like, but it does, the bootstrapping is still tough. Like I'm thinking right now, we're currently working with a retailer who may or may not want 45,000 CrossNets, which is about $2+ million of cold hard cash I got to come up with to make the inventory in the first place.
Right.
So how do you come up with $2 million in cash to fund this beautiful? It's a classic Shark Tank thing, right? So, getting credit lines, going to banks, not giving up that equity and knowing that you're going to be able to pay back. So like, let's just say I get a $2 million purchase order. I know I'm getting paid for that in 120 days. So I can tell the bank, yo, I need 2 mil for 120 days. 120 days clears, here's all your money back. I'll hit you at 4% interest or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
So
is that a pretty easy ask from the bank? I mean, granted, it sounds like a really unique, really big order, but
yeah,
order, is that pretty?
Fingers crossed, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of money to ask anybody, right? So
Sure.
we have a good relationship with our banks. So we'll see what happens. I think if you have a purchase order in hand from a store, bank would be pretty stupid not to take that,
Right.
especially with like who CROSSNET is now these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a growing real life situation that I'm going to be going through over the next, hell, I'm going through it right now thinking about it. So that would be an issue we're dealing with until next spring, until the orders are fulfilled.
Gotcha. That's a good problem to have, is an order that big. So congrats, man. That's a great sign of growth.
Thanks, man.
So take us back to that low period where you just ate dirt for 2 years and just grinded. What kept you going through that? Most people would give up.
Yeah, I think it was because I gave up on my previous startup.
Oh yeah.
So I gave up on my previous startup before that. And as soon as I left, the startup actually became profitable, started making money, and like became like $1 million business. And I was like, shit, had I just gone a few more months, I would have been with them, right? But I kind of just gave up. I wanted to watch Netflix and be lazy when I got home from my 9 to 5. And I just said, yo, this wasn't for me.
Dang.
And had I just kept going, yeah, I would have been pretty happy and not worked 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But then maybe I would have never done CROSSNET. But it also gave me enough motivation the second time around. And when I had a great idea, just keep going for it and look for positive progress every day.
Yeah, great perspective. And yeah, I think you're wise to think about, the fact that if you would have stuck with that, you would have never got to CROSSNET maybe. So it all happens for a reason.
Exactly.
So when did you realize this was going to be something big? I mean, we talked about being on the beach and just quite literally recruiting people off the beach to come play and getting some of those first orders and kind of that ripple effect of friends and family of family and whatnot, to buy the product. But what hit that like catalyst point where, like, oh my gosh, this is going to hit retailers nationwide?
Oh, bro, I think it was the first day we made it. Like we had that prototype.
Yeah.
We haven't changed. Our sentiment around the game hasn't changed since. It's like, it wasn't even like, yeah, I guess it's revolutionary, but it's just common sense. Like, why does this not exist in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, why does this not exist in the world? This is clearly something that should exist and people would like. It's on us to grind it out and make it $1 million business, right? But like, since day one, we knew we had a gold mine. It was just, were we the right people to run it? Thankfully, I think we've done a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say so. So one topic that comes up a lot on this show is the idea of whether you should pursue your passion or not, and whether that leads to, ultimate goal. So I'd be curious to get your thoughts on that, as far as, did you have a passion for sports growing up? And is that sports in your background at all? Like, where was the crossover, no pun intended, to get this product off the ground?
Yeah, I had I'm obviously very passionate about, actually not obvious. I am very passionate about sports.
Yeah.
Not a volleyball player, never was. Don't think I'll ever will be. I've played it occasionally, but I had more passion about just not having a boss. I had such bad experiences at corporate America. Getting emails saying your shirt's tucked in, or, oh, you didn't get promoted for the 5th time straight. Like, oh, can you work an extra 2 hours for free? Like shit like that. I was just so over that. And I was only in corporate America for like 3 years. But I was just like, I can't do this till I'm 60 or 65 or 70. Like, this is terrible. So no disrespect to anyone in corporate America, but I personally wasn't for me.
I don't think you're offending anyone. Hopefully the people listening to this are people who are already entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs who share that sentiment and idea.
Yeah. So when we had the idea, I was like, fuck, this is my one way out, right? Like, I'm gonna go all in on this. So that was my reason for it. And it's blossomed from, let's make CROSSNET a universal sport. And then it's going to become, let's make way more innovative sporting goods products and use that retail shelf space that we have available to us.
Definitely. So is that you kind of alluded to it? My next question was going to be something along the lines of your end goal, but it sounds like that you have your mind pretty made up to stick with this in the long term.
Yeah. Grow it into a global sport, grow it into $100 million business, and create innovative sporting goods products for years and years to come.
Awesome. What can you tell us at what point along are you now to that $100 million mark?
We're about a little bit over a tenth of the way. So
okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Congrats, man.
Like 14%, give or take.
There you go. That's awesome. Congrats.
Nice.
What as we get towards the end here, I have a couple of key questions I always ask every guest. And one is books or resources. Do you have books that have really been pivotal in your business or your life?
Yeah. Double Your Profits by Bob Pfeiffer. I don't think. Okay. Great book. Stole it from a WeWork. It was awesome. So that's a great read. It's like $8 on Amazon, I think, but really just about keeping shit like bootstrapped. Like, what am I overspending on? Do I have a Dropbox account with 5 licenses when I only need 1? Like little stuff that just adds up. Mm-hmm. And as you continue to grow, like you want to have that bootstrap mentality, but then you start having more money in your account. So you start getting more loose with your finances, and then you lose track of like who you were. So it's good to read that one every few months or whenever I kind of feel like it, just to kind of get a reality check.
Appreciate that recommendation.
Yeah.
As far as buying CROSSNET, if any of our audience is interested, where are some of the major retailers they can pick it up at?
Yeah, well, the best retailer is CROSSNETgame.com.
There you go.
But after that, Dick's Sporting Goods, Walmart, Shields, Dillard's, Academy. Yeah, we're like 3,000 plus strong retailers.
That's awesome. Very cool. Congrats, man. And then lastly, where can people connect with you or follow you if they want business or personal advice?
Chris Meade on LinkedIn is the best spot, or Chris Meade on Twitter.
Okay. Chris, thanks so much, man. It's really cool to hear your story. Appreciate all the insights you gave to our audience, and good luck growing CROSSNET the rest of the way.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for having me on.
That wraps up today's episode. We hope to have brought you some valuable key takeaways. Most importantly, whatever you learned, take action on it. Apply it to your life. Apply it to your career. Motivation and inspiration only come as a result of taking that first step. So if you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe on whichever platform you found the show. You can also follow us on all the major social media platforms or contact us directly at genwhyleaders@gmail.com. That's GENWHY leaders@gmail.com. Until next time, I'm Eric Huey, and thanks for listening to the Gen Y Leaders Podcast.